Hi, welcome, thank you for joining us. We wanted to start off today and give you a little bit of the background of how we got involved in RVing. And we really got started in March of 2018, but the story begins before that. We both had some experience with RVs in the past, and we had decided that RVing was something we were interested in for a number of reasons. Hotels were not our favorite thing.
No, they weren't.
It kind of evolved over time. We've always had smaller cars, never really been big SUV, big truck people. But we thought about maybe doing a small SUV and maybe an R-Pod to tow behind it. Then that grew into, well, maybe something a little bit bigger, but we really didn't want a truck. I didn't want a truck for my only car, for my back and forth to work commute. So the next thing started to be motorized, and we started to look at Class C's. And where it finally ended up with looking for a really nice, used, smaller Class C that would give us what we wanted for weekends and week-long trips, and maybe a little bit longer, but definitely part-time. And we came across a 2015 Jayco. It was a Jayco Redhawk 26XD. It had less than 3,000 miles on it. It looked brand new inside and out, and really was the perfect coach for our needs at the time. It had an RV queen bed. It had a livable bathroom, decent sized shower, dinette, sofa. Sofa would convert to a bed. The bunk in the front that we could use for storage, and Ford V10 chassis, and just as clean as you could get, and everything worked on it, and was really, really a nice coach. And that's where we got started.
It was actually very comfortable. It was beautiful, and it had everything we needed for the trips that we took at that time. And we were really enjoying ourselves.
Absolutely. And you always hear everybody talk about do your research and buy your last RV first. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't necessarily work, because as perfect as that RV was for us at the time, as time changed, our needs changed, and it became where it wasn't perfect. But we're going to get into that on down the line.
Part of it was that every time we would go out, we just had so much fun, and it was so exciting. And every time we'd get home, I remember walking in the back door every time and going, oh, I love my house. And I'd walk in and we'd get everything out of it. That was part of it too, was getting everything out of it. We did keep a lot of things in there for that were dedicated for our trips, but there was always the food bags, the laundry, and all of that. But we'd walk in and we'd sit down and we'd unload, go in and sit down in front of the TV and look at each other, and the first thing we'd say was,
where are we going next?
Where are we going next?
So as far as where we went next, we got the coach in March of 2018, and we decided we wanted to go someplace for a shakedown trip that was close enough to home but far enough away. So if anything scared us off too bad, we'd be far enough away we wouldn't want to run home. But if something broke and I needed something, or we forgot something, I'd be close enough that we could go back and get it. And keep in mind, at this point, we're in a 26-foot Class C. We're kind of new to all this. I'd had some experience in driving motorized before, but this was the first one of our own, and we didn't have a tow car. So the idea of putting everything away and packing up and driving to the store was not what we wanted. We wanted to be prepared. So our first outing, a few weeks after we got the coach in early April, was to Wekiva Falls. And Wekiva Falls is on Route 46 in Florida over towards Sanford, Florida. It was a beautiful park.
It was a really pretty park, and it was there was nature, and yet there were a lot of nice amenities. It's a great balance for a family. There was a lot of things for children to do. There was a little store there.
Had ice cream there.
It did have ice cream there. It had a little hiking trail out behind that we actually adventured out and went hiking. About the time we saw the signs that, was it bears?
Gators.
You know, we felt like we were really getting out there. It was a lot of fun.
The water area in the middle of the park kind of goes from a swimming area down to a little creek, and Maggie enjoyed getting out and walking in the creek, and I think Kathy did too.
I did. I enjoyed that a lot.
For a first place to go, it was a great place. You pull into the park, you go into the little building to register, and when you come out, there's a fellow there in a golf cart who is going to take you to your site. And the way the park's laid out, you either go to the left side or the right side. We were over in the right side, and he took us through the park and got us to the site, and immediately went to the back of the site to help guide me in. Sites were very deep, very, very nice size, but he was right there to help, and he knew we were first timers out on this and was there. Now, do you have any questions on hooking up? Anything you need help with? One disadvantage to the park was, and we were lucky that I was overly prepared for it, it took an electrical extension on our 30 amp cord. It took 2 water hoses, it took 2 sewer hoses. We had quite a run to get to all of the utilities. Everything worked, we were in fine shape with it, but do be prepared in that park. Depending on where you're at, you may be a little bit of a distance to utilities. But we had a great time. We were there for 2 nights, I guess, 3 days and 2 nights, and didn't have any problems. Everything worked. It was a great way to get started.
Not only does it have that great swimming area, it's got a beach, little
tiki
huts along
picnic
it.
Tables
It drops down into like a little valley where the water comes up, but there was also a nice pool because we were parked really close to the pool. So if you didn't want to be down in nature's water, which was actually very nice. It was, you said it was March. It seemed like it was April. It was pretty warm, but if you didn't want to get down in that water, you could go over to the pool. There was a little play area up by their little store. It wasn't real big, but the platform, there's a huge platform down in the water, and that's where it seemed like everybody gravitated towards, was down in there.
We liked the park. It was very well taken care of, very well maintained. The amenities were well taken care of. Everything was clean. The little camp store there was nicely stocked with anything that you might need, and especially with us not having a car at the time, it was good to have that. It is a sulfur spring, so depending upon the direction of the wind, you do get the rotten egg smell from time to time, just to be prepared. And really the only negative that I had at the time was when you leave the park, when you go back out to the main road, Route 46, which you set probably half to 3/4 of a mile off of, you don't get the noise from the main road that way, but it's a stop sign, and you sit there and you wait, and it probably took us 5 minutes to where we could get across traffic and make a left-hand turn out of there to head home. Now that road is being redone, and I'm not sure what's going to be the situation there in the future, but as of right now, it's still that way at that intersection. Well, the next month was May, and the next long weekend in May was a trip to the St. Johns River KOA and Marina. This is over towards DeLand, right on the St. Johns River, and completely different experience, but equally great. Really a nice park. There are RV spots on both sides of the marina, and where we were, we happened to be on a big pull-through site, and our windshield faced the St. Johns River. We had a beautiful sight, a beautiful view. There is a restaurant and a second-story tiki bar there on the property, and we kind of went from doing a lot of grilling and eating in the first trip to running over to the tiki restaurant, getting food, bringing it back sometimes. And
well, we had a pretty good excuse for that too. It did have a big storm went through.
Yeah, it rained, I think, the whole weekend we were there.
Yeah, so the grilling thing kind of got shut down, but yeah, the food there was really good. And there's another second little, there's a drawbridge, and underneath on the other side of the drawbridge there was also a little restaurant. And I don't remember, we didn't eat over there, but we walked over there and checked it out. But it was,
That's right.
yeah, I forgot about that drawbridge. There was a beautiful view up and down the river, and there was a riverboat that I don't know if there was some time that they ever did excursions out on, but it was parked there, and it was really neat to walk around and see it.
It was also neat because directly behind us is where the boats were docked along the one side of the marina, and so you could walk through the marina, take a look at the boats. The one that was directly behind us we referred to as Captain Dog. It had a dog on the lower level, and it had and we're not boaters, so if you guys are, please excuse my lack of terminology, but there was a ladder that went up a few feet to where there was a second level, and the boat could be piloted from the second level. And I don't know if we ever actually saw him do that, but there was a dog.
I did see him go up it. He would climb that ladder and go
every
sit
now
in
and
the
then
captain's chair.
You'd look over and he'd be on the lower level in the shade, and then you'd look over and he'd be up on the upper level. So that's where Captain Dog came from. He somehow knew how to get around that boat. But it was a great place to stay, great amenities again. Would be a place we would definitely recommend. Well, the next month was June, and June ended up being a very special one because we went to a very special spot.
We went to a beautiful, and this was one of my favorite places. It's called Beverly Beach, or
Beverly Beach.
Beverly Beach. Oh, that's right. I was thinking something.
Just north of the pier at Flagler Beach by a couple of miles, and the park is laid out in two sections. There is one section to the, as you're going north, to the right-hand side of the road, which is directly on the beach, up to the seawall, and then there's another park on the left-hand side of the road, or the inland side of the road. And if I remember right, it's laid out into 3 different price points, where you could be right on the seawall, or you could be the row behind the seawall, or you could be in the ones across the street. We were new, we wanted this to be a treat, so we got one on the seawall. And the spaces are narrow. One noses out towards the beach, the one beside it backs in towards the beach. We were fortunate that we had one that nosed out to the beach, and literally it's almost slide to slide on how tight they are in there, but you know what, you didn't care
because you had the whole beach for your front yard, and it was beautiful. I think we saw dolphin there.
Yeah, we saw dolphins out one evening.
Somebody talked about seeing a shark out there at one point.
Yeah.
There's nothing like waking up to a sunrise, just going out and just enjoying that sunrise and the water, and it's quiet, and watching all the little birds and wildlife. It was really just amazing.
It was probably the most expensive by the night stay we've ever had at an RV park, but it was well worth it. We've always said we were going to go back. We haven't, but we haven't just because we've been busy going other places. Speaking of going other places,
Yes. A funny little anecdote. I gotta say, you know, you're laying there at nighttime and you expect to hear the waves. And one of the funny things was that when we were reading the reviews, somebody actually said that that it bothered them that the sound of waves crashing all night long kept them awake. And I was like, really?
They gave them a really bad review because the ocean was too loud. Like they should have been able to turn that down a little bit.
But the funny thing was, at nighttime, I kept hearing a cricket. And this cricket just went on all night long. And a couple nights there we were there, this cricket. Well, then we got home, and
our next adventure.
Yeah,
we heard the same cricket.
Heard the same cricket.
So the cricket must have.
He was traveling with us.
Must have been a stowaway. One thing that was a little bit different there, the pedestals are only 50 amp. We had a 30 amp RV, and so if you come in without a dogtail, they will rent you a 50 to 30 amp so that you can plug in. And I shouldn't even say rent. They ask you, I think, for a $5 deposit, and then they give you the deposit back when you go to leave. So it doesn't end up costing you. But if you do go to that park and you don't have a 50 amp coach, just go prepared for it. You walked out where we were at. You walked out of your coach, took a couple of steps forward. You were on the walkway across the front of the seawall. I think we were 2 or 3 spots from the stairs that went down to the beach, and you were in the sand. It could not have been a better location. Couldn't have been a better stay. And of every place we've been, that will go down as either our favorite so far or one of our favorites.
Yeah, one of, definitely.
So that gets you through our first couple of months, but not all the way through June, because in June we started our big summer road trip. We were out for 9 days. That'll be on our next travel video. We'll get you caught up on a 9-day trip that took us through Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, I think a corner of Indiana, and part of North Carolina. So we'll get you caught up on that trip on the next one. But again, thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video will be out. We look forward to sharing more of our travels with you as we follow the moon. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when we have new videos listed. Also, be sure to check out our blog at followthemoon.us and also our Facebook page at Follow the Moon and on Instagram at Follow the Moon Travel. Thanks.